we've got to pick some jalapenos for our salsa. So I want to pick some garden fresh jalapenos. These are some that I already had in my fridge, and I want to come out here and pick some more because I'm making a lot of salsa. So it's going to be a lot of jalapenos that we need. And I actually didn't get any from the store, but luckily I have a lot of them here to pick. There's still a lot here, so this should be plenty. I won't have to go to the store or anything like that. Let's see. All right, so that's that many. Let's see if there's anything else in here. Just some little ones. Look how little. See? Uh-oh. It snapped off. That's okay. Anyhow, that's the jalapenos I got. I think I might come over here. There's a couple more jalapeno plants, but I know that I had picked already some yesterday, but I'm gonna get as many as I can here because I have a ton of tomatoes, and I don't think that I'm gonna make a small thing of salsa. I'm gonna go ahead and make a big one. And if anybody wants some of my salsa, I will be giving that away. Okay, so there is my jalapenos. I think that is it. I do have some bell pepper plants here, but they are still a bit small. I might take this one just because it's already changing colors. Maybe got too much water. And I'll let the smaller ones continue to grow there. Anyway, we will head back inside and get to making my salsa. Hey everybody, hope y'all are doing good. Today I'm going to be making you some garden fresh salsa. So I have picked tomatoes from my garden, and I'll insert here a little bit of that, me picking my tomatoes. There's tons of them out there. These are just some. I'm gonna kind of put them over here to the side. There are some beautiful big ones. Look at this big juicy tomato, guys. Let's see, what else do I got in here? Another big one. These are really, really good for the salsa. So I'm going to be definitely using these up in my salsa. Here's another bag. I'm probably going to do a whole big batch of salsa. So I want to fill this whole bowl full of salsa. So I'm going to probably, I don't know, triple the recipe. But you will find the original recipe in the description. So go there and check it out if you want that recipe. So in some of my other videos, I've used the food processor. In the past, I've cooked salsa. This one's going to be garden fresh, meaning I'm just going to kind of chop it, use salt and sugar and things like that to create my salsa. So I've already chopped up 4 small bell peppers that came from my garden. I was on the phone earlier, and while I was doing that, I was chopping up some bell peppers. So actually, I think I'm going to do the same thing I did, is just kind of like talk to y'all like I did on the phone, and just chop up my tomatoes. Or maybe I'll start with my jalapenos. I'm going to insert in here how I went and got my jalapenos from the garden. There's quite a few in here, so I think I'm going to start with the jalapenos. Put these aside for now. I have a bucket here for scraps for my chickens. The reason I want to have a chit chat with y'all is I've been getting a lot of phone calls from people just having horrible days, just not really having a good time. Just their life is kind of falling apart and that sort of thing. So I want to kind of talk to y'all about that a little bit here. This is kind of an intuitive channel as well, not just a homesteading channel. I don't know if any of y'all drink these mango drinks. They're real good. Not sponsored by them or anything like that. They're just good to drink, and they're mango nectar. All right, while I start chopping up my jalapenos, we can talk about life. So there's been different weird situations happening. So We had a friend call who just recently got his wife a new vehicle, okay? And the vehicle was all good and everything like that, and then she was backing out of their driveway when she felt, she ran over something. So she realized it a little too late. She went out and she had run over the family dog. This was a beloved dog. She definitely didn't mean to run it over. The dog apparently was in a position where it bit the tire, and so the tire burst. And apparently the tire burst, and they had to go get the tire replaced eventually. And they couldn't get the tire replaced because they didn't have enough money. And kind of goes along with some of my complaints on my other channel around churches. They actually work for a church. They work for the church that we used to attend, and they went to the church to ask for a little bit of money just to get their tire back on. You'll know what a tire costs. And the church would not help them with it. So they're kind of on their own. They had to actually return the whole vehicle that he had gotten for his wife and just come to the conclusion that they couldn't afford it to begin with. Which is maybe how it should have been, who knows. So that's that. And then little things, my husband had a bad day. He went to go get his car inspected. All morning he couldn't find the insurance card. And so we logged in. I logged in to see for him, and yeah, the insurance card was not there. Eventually we found the insurance card, but it was dated for a date far in advance, even though we had already paid and all of that stuff. So we called them up and they just said it was an error. That's just some weird error. Eventually they email it to us, we can print it. Get up to the office and they are having technical difficulties. We wait, and then they come to the conclusion that the whole system for the state, for the car registration, is down. So they have to shut down the office, and so that was a minor inconvenience, although I'm sure he felt it to be more, but that. And then just different complaints and people just having to face situations in life where they have to let go of things. Something's coming to an end and they're just not ready to let go of that thing. And so we don't know sometimes why these things happen, why we have to let go, why we're put in a situation where we have to let go of something. For example, in my situation, I've recently had to come to the conclusion I'm going to have to let go of my little house, one of my most prized possessions of this world, my house. So I had to come to that conclusion. And it's just part of life to let go. And the way that I see things now is when these things happen that seem like they shouldn't be happening, or they seem wrong, or they seem bad, dare I say, is to look at it from a different perspective. The perspective of, I wonder why this is happening, or this is interesting. Why is this happening this way? What could it be showing me? What is going to happen next? See, because everything is really working for your favor. So if we take that approach, we don't have to worry as much about things. Because we know that even those situations that appear to be so-called bad are actually working in our favor in some way or another. And they may be real sneaky like that. They appear bad. But really they're not. They're forcing us to let go of things that we wouldn't have let go otherwise. So the universe had to kind of put you in that situation or you would have never done it. And it's truly your desire. So that's what's happening. So that's a lot of what's going on right now with people. Lots of people are having to let go of things. Things are happening in their lives that are really challenging them to rebuild differently, to move forward. There's a quote by Charles Darwin that talks about intelligence, and the way that he defines intelligence is the most intelligent species is a species that learns how to evolve, how to change. The least intelligent species are the ones that don't evolve, don't change. You know, like the dodo bird or something like that. Something that just literally doesn't change, stays kind of at this very basic level. Everything is always changing. I was just thinking about the internet because I recently made a video where I said that I kind of was one of those generations that grew up without technology and then suddenly with it, because we got internet around middle school. Maybe I was in high school, barely in high school around that time. And I started to think about how internet was back then. Now, I didn't talk about it in that video, but I started to ponder on it. And if y'all remember, if y'all are of that age, you had to dial up through your dial-up phone that was a landline to your home. The old-fashioned phones that, you know, you had hanging on the wall, or you had we had cordless phones, but they were hardwired into the wall somewhere. So I'm cutting up jalapeños, and actually I think this is plenty, but maybe let's see if I can get through these two without having a cough attack, because I can feel it coming on, trying to get away from the cutting board. So dial up, you know, we had to dial in through this hard line, and most people only had one line. I mean, unless you had a lot of money or something, you had one phone line. And if anybody picked up the phone in your home, you got knocked off the internet, like literally got knocked off of whatever you were doing. And when you got knocked off, it was a big deal, because to get back on was a whole hassle. You weren't just instantly back on. I already did wash these. So you weren't instantly back online. You had to dial up, and a lot of times it wouldn't connect right, and you know, it was a mess. And then later we got, you know, I don't know, Ethernet or something like that. And even that wasn't that great. And I'm thinking about my little house. We really didn't have any internet up until like a year or two ago. And we had to go through things like HughesNet, which is for rural places that use satellite internet. We had to use the hotspots and stuff that you buy. And so I've gone through a journey of using all these different types of internet, trying to get connected. And there's been quite a change even within internet, within the phones, everything. So everything is change. And if we resist change, we're going to stay back in the dial-up days. And there's not a lot you can do with that. That's very limited. If I wanted to share this content, this video, or this talk with you using dial-up and using the old SD cards and old ways of recording videos on phones or cameras, it probably would never happen that I would do this. It would be too complicated, and it may even be way too expensive. But now anybody with a phone can do this, and you see that's the advancements that we have made. It's just one of many. But we have to evolve. If we had stayed saying, no, dial-up is the only way, we are not ever changing it, this is what works, then we would never have what we have now. So we really have to evolve. And so what Charles Darwin says about the most intelligent species is true. You know, you have to embrace change. You have to evolve. And it's those beings that resist, that suffer, and don't really change or evolve with the times or with anything that's happening. So that's what we're going to be seeing a lot of right now. There's a lot of change. And change is scary, especially for people of the older generation that have lived their lives with basically blueprints that society had given them that seemed to be correct. And now we are seeing they weren't wrong, but they don't fit in today's times anymore. We have to evolve a few of those things, just like anything. If we just look at history, even 100 years ago, things have certainly changed. As a woman, I would have never been able to do a lot of the things that I have done in my life had I been born 100 years ago. And if I had been born any later than that, I would have really had a very predictable life, probably. And it would have been a lot harder to do some of the things that I'm doing today. So be grateful for the change. Be grateful for letting go, even when you don't understand it. Meet it like I do, with the attitude of, this is interesting, what is happening. You know, even if it's the craziest thing and you just want to run away from it, abide in silence. This is the craziest thing that's happening. But I wonder why it's happening. I wonder what is going to come of this. And you may not really know right away, and it may not make sense for a long time, but eventually it will. And there's nothing happening out of place. Everything that is happening is perfect. So you don't have to fear this change. You just have to meet it with a new perspective. So one of the things I probably should have gotten for my salsa is cilantro. So getting back to salsa talk and not so much philosophical talk, here are some tomatoes and the jalapeños mixed in. So I'm going to need some onions, and I didn't pull those out yet, so I think I'm going to take a little break, go get the onions. I'm going to rinse off my board because I'm getting a ton of liquid here, and I will come back here to cut a little bit more with you. Okay. Okay, so here is all of the tomatoes, the onion, bell pepper, all of the jalapenos are at the bottom and all of that. So I have just something to mix it with. So I'm going to kind of mix it together. Just kind of mix everything how it is, you know, so that everything gets a little bit of everything. The only thing that I'm missing here is cilantro. So cilantro is something that you definitely would want for your salsa. So I'm probably going to have to pick it up here whenever I go leave the house or something like that. So, but I don't have it now, so it's okay. I can just still make it like this and add it in later, or just eat it like this is good as well. I have some chips that have like some lime salt on them. So that is also good. That reminds me of actually, I have 2 limes here. So let me get my knife again. And if you have limes, just squeeze some lime juice into your salsa, or you know, you can use the bottled lime juice as well. You don't have to use the natural. So I'm going to try to get as much juice as I can out of these limes. So I'm going to do that. That's one thing I don't have. I don't have any lime trees. That would probably maybe be good to have. We have like, we've had orange trees and we have a citrus tree out there, but we don't have lime. So that might be something to get, lime and lemon. So we'll have to keep a lookout for those. We had some, like the cutie, you know, oranges, the real easy peelable oranges. We had those trees, but we lost those in a freeze. And then we've also had, they call them kumquats, very, very tiny little orange citrus that you can just eat even with the peel on them. We had those. Hope this one's not too old or dry. Looks like it might be. But that one also was, you know, in part of the freeze. So this other lime, I think, has been sitting around too long. What did I get these limes for? I don't remember now, but they've kind of been sitting around a while. And I think they're drying out. But that first one had a ton of juice. Here goes this one a little bit more. See if we can get some out of the other side. If you want to use like an orange, or if you have a different kind of citrus or lemon, you can do that as well. I don't have any of that today, so I think that's going to be enough for me. So go ahead and mix it up with your spatula or whatever you got. I've already washed my hands. I like to use my hands to mix things up. That's just how I do it. I don't know, Danny, y'all do that? It's probably kind of gross, but I've washed my hands, and so I'm gonna be the one mainly eating this, so it doesn't really matter. But anyhow, that's how it's mixed up. And so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna rinse my hands off, because I gotta get the cup here. And what I got over here is sugar. So I have my sugar over here, and I have a measuring cup. This is half of a cup of sugar. Of course, like I say, I have probably tripled, maybe even quadrupled this recipe. So it's not going to call for that much on y'all's recipe if you're just making enough for 1 or 2, or, you know, family of 4. So go check the recipe in the descriptions for the actual measurements. Okay, so that was half of a cup of sugar, and you want to mix that in well here with your spatula. That I will use my spatula for. Now that everything's been mixed together, you just kind of move it along like this. And this is going to create like a sweetness to it. That's going to be really yummy when you go to eat it. It's a very simple recipe. The Garden Fresh salsa, it's just salt, sugar, and pepper if you like. So as far as the sugar or the salt, you're going to want to do about a tablespoon. I mean, that's what I'm doing here, is it like about a tablespoon. Y'all will have to check your recipe and just make sure that you are doing what it is on there. If you try your salsa, let's say that you follow the recipe, or you know, you've made it however to your taste, you can always add in more sugar, more salt, pepper. If you like onion powder, if you like any other kind of seasonings, cayenne pepper, you like a little spicier, whatever you like. Lime salt, go ahead and add that in and make it your own, whatever you like. You can also add in fruit to your fresh salsa. I have a carton of strawberries that I may or may not add to this. We don't all like strawberries, so, but I may add it into a different little container. So anyhow, everything's been mixed in. I had put my salt, my sugar, and everything like that. I didn't put any pepper in. I'm not sure if I'm going to, but that's what it looks like. And you're gonna just let it sit in the fridge, and it's only gonna be, you can eat it fresh like this, or you can let it sit, and the sugar, the salt, all of that will kind of incorporate a little bit better. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna go ahead and put this in my fridge and just have it on hand. That is garden fresh salsa, and it is so yummy, y'all. After you let it sit, especially, it just, all the flavors come together, and it is just so yummy with some corn chips. So that's garden fresh salsa for you, and I used up quite a bit of tomatoes and some of our onions in here, and so that was good. Thank you so much for coming along here with us for this recipe.